We are back.
We are back, people.
We are rolling.
So we are rolling.
We are rolling, sir.
Yeah, well, we'll start now. People, welcome back. It's the People Like Us podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going to guess this is the fourth.
That's correct.
This is the fourth time you're in an elite club. There's very few people that have made their way 4 times guests. And we're thankful to be joined by Mr. Paul Hope, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Paul. Thank you for talking to people like us.
You're welcome.
So, I seen you the other day.
Interesting.
I did, yeah. But it was very, it was the morning rush hour.
Right.
And there was lots of people around. And I was actually second. You were walking across, what are they called? Is it a pelican crossing where there is traffic lights and they stop you and people walk across?
All right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was 2 cars back. It was very busy. It was in the morning. I was about to beep, but there was other people on the island with you crossing the road. And do you know what I thought? I'm going to save him the embarrassment here. I'm just going to let him go about his day because you know, like the freak in me almost was going to go, "Hi, Paul." Do you know? And I just thought, Paul don't need that. He had his game face on. He had his black trousers. He was walking towards a town hall. He was looking. He was all business. Paul weren't smiling. He was on stuff. He was going somewhere. It was either you or somebody looking like you.
So you were talking about the content creating there. So 4th time.
Yeah, man.
Back on the show. Very excited. I was the first guest in the new studio, so this is my 2nd appearance.
Second appearance, man.
Since you've seen me, I've had to grow up, Dan. So 45, I've had to realise that maybe content creating isn't going to pay the bills. So I've been promoted at work.
Yep,
so
there.
when you've seen me, that's probably. So I've been heading back to the town hall. So it's been an interesting few months since I've last been on. The love of the 49ers is still there. And obviously catching up on some of the shows that you guys have done recently. I think the pause to reflect and you think, because when you reached out and said, "Do you want to come back on?" I was thinking, I haven't really done a great deal in content creating, but then you look at your life and then I've been watching the shows with the guests, you know. Chris seems to have been on every week and he's had me howling at home. Some of the topics.
That's Chris, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. Like
Chris has just got massive nuts. He just dares say it. Like, you know, I don't completely agree with everything he says, but like some of his stuff, yeah, kind of got a point. I'm not going into it, but like, do you know what I mean? I like Chris because he just say it. He's not bothered.
Yeah.
He just say it.
You need an episode with Chris and your brother-in-law. That would be amazing.
Do you know what? It's big facts. Chris has always said, "I'd love to speak to Rob." Like, Rob is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
He's just a fountain of... Do you know what, right? If 10% of what he's saying is right, it's quite scary.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the
That's
off-it
true.
thing. He comes out with some absolute mental stuff, like the thing about the water disappearing. No, what is it?
Yeah, so the water thing had me going, but I was saying, obviously, going down a different path because I got my book for people at home.
Yeah,
so
man.
I was here the 6th of November last year, I was at the old studio. You had 267 subs.
Love this.
And you think that's, you know, I think the first episode you'd had 73. As of this afternoon, the 20th of November when I checked, you're up to 423 subs.
There we go, mate.
And
It's
I would
flying.
say that when you're in that bubble, we've talked about this before, so for people watching back, you can go down that path of, you know, you can get the bots, you can get AI, you can hit, you know, a giveaway, your subs can go up. But I think watching the show over the last few weeks, you guys have kind of, you know, you're saying it's a hobby, you know, you shout out to mum and dad at home watching, but you're doing something right because people are watching, the social media engagements there, the guests are coming on. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that because I was last year in June and you had 348 subs.
No way.
So you're still going up that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you know what, Paul? I got to a point with it where if you didn't say the numbers, I wouldn't know. I don't look anymore at numbers because, to be perfectly honest, I'm past that now. I'm past the bit of like wanting it to like staring at the numbers, wanting to do well. That's not what it's for. That's not why I'm doing it. That isn't why. I just like it. As I say, I used to think, it's hard to describe and I hate to repeat it, but I used to think that it was about getting to that, I don't know what you want to call it, famous stage where you're getting paid for doing this, you're getting adverts and stuff like this. But what I found is going right the way back to the very first day the very first couple of shows that we ever did in like whatever it was, September 2023, I think it was a long time ago.
PO and people like that.
Yeah, it just, something happened in my mind, right? And it just made me feel like happy that I was doing something, that like, it wasn't just this dead end track. And I figured out that it isn't actually the destination that I need, it's just the action. So what I'm getting what I want from this.
Well, like I said to you last time, remember to enjoy the journey. And not focus on the destination, because when you get into this content creating world and you go down the YouTube and you go on the Instagram, it's easy to look at the numbers, the metrics. I mean, for us, 49 Faithful UK, we've been stuck at 1,000 subs on YouTube. So from YouTube, we're monetized. We've got the 1,000 subs. We've got the 4,000 watch hours. There's 4 of us who do our podcast. We all chip in for the license. We all pay for the equipment. I think we have 68 quid in our YouTube account, which is frozen. Apparently you have to earn a certain amount before they'll even release it to you. Yeah. And we've gone past that now. We've, like you know, we tried. We had a sponsor. You're doing the show, you had to remember to press the button, you had to remember to shout the sponsor out, and then it felt a little bit unorganic. And then at the heart of it, what we do is we're meeting up to talk football. And because the NFL isn't something you can go down to every sports bar in England and watch, that's where it generated. But then I said on my first appearance with you guys, I try not just to be Mr. NFL. So when I found your podcast and it was people that I knew, Dino Brown, someone I've played football against, someone I recognise in the town, but I wouldn't say I know the lad. So watching his story and then, you know, about the alternative education provision, and I think, I missed a trick there, because 20 years ago, I was doing that for free.
Oh, yeah.
At Eastbourne School. Oh. And that's how I stepped into working for Darton Borough Council. Right. And, you know, so seeing them lads make a success of that now.
Good, innit?
Paul Hannafin, we moved in similar circles, you know, when we were teenagers, you know, seeing the success that he's had. And then, you know, people compare themselves. And I thought Paul was quite good when he was saying, I put a bit of a pause. What I'm doing, I'm back to playing the guitar.
Love
and
that.
enjoying his life. And so when I compare the last 6 months, and I think I haven't done as many NFL podcasts. I didn't go to the watch party in London because I had family stuff on. You know, the day job isn't the most exciting to people and explain what I do, but the fact that after 10 years in the same role, 18 years on the same pay grade, I finally got promoted. I took one step up on the ladder. So, you know. So, yes, when you see me, Dan, I would have been looking very serious in my new job. So, thank you.
It was game face. You know that look of someone he's not fucking about today. Paul ain't messing about today. Paul was going to go tell someone something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, what is your position now, Paul?
So, I work in the housing team. So I'm a management officer in the income team.
And what does a management officer in the income team do?
So we're split into 3 patches in Darlington. So
What's your patch?
I'm responsible for patch 2. So I have like 18 areas across Darlington, Hundons Lane, Horton, Redall. And my job is, as a management officer, I have to look at the rent accounts and I have to decide what action we're taking.
Ah.
You know, people might be booing at all. I'm that guy that, I'm knocking on the door. You're not paying your rent, but being a social landlord and the ethos that my boss has, and from, if you've met me before, you'll know me, I'll try and help anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm not the big bad wolf.
Do you go around the house?
Yeah.
Do you?
Go on rent visits. And so it's been one of them where, you know, last few years I should have maybe applied for it. And you talk yourself out of it, don't you? You know, I got stuff going on with the family, the girls were growing up, then I was doing the podcasting, and then the opportunity came up unexpected. So I think I'd been here with you guys in the June, and then not long, a couple of weeks after, it basically came to fruition that there was an option for me to go for this promotion. And because I was an internal candidate, as soon as I got the job, they were like, yeah, you're starting tomorrow.
Have you ever been in any situations where, like, you've been around someone's house and, like, there's been a bit of, like, here, get off my front, you sort of stuff?
I've worked for Darton Borough Council for 18 years. So I've gone from youth offending, social services. So that was frontline child protection. That was, we were knocking on the door, taking children out of situations, to then moving to the housing department. But to answer your question, yes. But luckily for me, I think I've got the skills where I'm able to talk it down. The funniest
You're
story...
also quite a big lad as well, Paul. That's another thing as well.
I don't think I am, you see. What, 5'11"?
Like, because I know you.
12 stone.
Because I know you're a nice lad. But if you come around my house with your serious face and your black trousers on saying, hey, mate.
The black jacket on.
Yeah, and you haven't paid your rent. I might
nice.
think twice about telling you to get off my front, Paul. Do you know what I mean? You've got that strong jaw. Do you know what I mean?
The worst one I had, we went when I was at social services, so I can talk about this. It was a long time ago. A call had come in on the Friday night, as it always did. And we had to go with the police to this house.
Right.
And basically, the children were coming with us.
Oof.
Right. So to be fair to the parents, they were actually all right at the time, but it got a little bit hairy. But obviously, you've got police officer support, haven't you?
Yeah.
And at the time, I lived over behind the QE.
Right.
So obviously, town hall, QE, we removed these children. We've gone back to the office about 8 o'clock at night. I'm walking home. I literally closed the front door, and there was the loudest knock at the door I've ever heard, and my heart just dropped. And I thought,
At your house?
at my house.
What?
So I was, in that when time stands still, I opened the door. It was only one of the police officers checking that I'd got home all right. But I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, mate. And he was like, oh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Just give me a bloody heart attack.
I thought it was on.
And then to show that kind of like that side, and then I'd stepped into housing, and I honestly thought, I won't get any stuff like that. But there's just a crossover. And again, local authority work, and I'm not earning millions of pounds, but it seems to be something that I'm good at. I seem to have that personal skills with the people. And Tracy seems to be happy that I've had a pay rise just before Christmas, Dan. So
I was always told, like, when I was growing up, like, as when you're younger and you're like your parents, well, not your parents, your mum really was giving you advice. She always used to say, council's a good job, like working for like that, because when you're in, you're in. Do you know what I mean? You're in with them. You're in the council.
I've been there 18 years.
That does happen. Do you know what I mean? I think my sister works for him too. I think she does. I think she does something like you do, or what you used to do. I won't say any further in case I'm not loud, but like something you've just mentioned that she does. I think she does that.
Because it was like when I was watching the episode with Chris, like obviously we've talked about American politics, we've talked about politics. At the moment, I'm not allowed to go down that road because there's a by-election going on in Darlington at the moment. So it's part of my contract that I'm not allowed to lean either way. So when I was watching that episode with Chris, you handled him really well, by the way, because he went off on a tangent. I'll be honest, I watched that episode and then I thought, I've got to watch the next one with him on. And then he was like all apologetic for about 10 minutes. But I suppose doing this, what you do, and you've turned up, you weren't expecting that episode to go that way, were you?
No. You can't with Chris.
No,
you can go anywhere.
Chris is very unpredictable.
Very unpredictable.
Like we were talking in the piss break and going like, where is this going? Like what we were talking about? We just finished talking about the banks, hadn't we?
The banks, yeah.
Yeah. And then
the bank
they come back and just bang. I was like, what happened in the toilet, mate? Like, who have you been talking to? Just turn like that.
Listen, I'm telling you now, Chris is wasted. Chris makes amazing content. It's like a lumpet, but he'll raise some form of emotion from anybody that watches it. Either I like him or I hate him, and that's what content's about. So, in my opinion, Chris should be doing his own content.
But then on the same hand, in the current climate we live at, I understand why I was rude, but the bank conversation, I mean, shout out to Tracy. She's the brains. She manages the money. I get paid. I transfer Tracy the money. She sorts everything out. I'm left my little bit of pocket money. And I'm a Monzo man. Man. When that notification goes in and the money goes in. So I'm a kept man, for want of a better word, and Tracy sorts everything out.
Love that.
But, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, it's international. Is it something to do with Men's Mental Health Month, November?
Is it?
And I've seen a lot of stuff flying around on social media. And then when I was preparing for tonight, I was thinking, I haven't done much content. And one thing that I like about your show, it makes you look at your own life. It makes you look at where have I come from. And 10 years ago, I was at rock bottom. I think I've told you before on the show, marriage ended, decided that, I was going out, I was drinking, I was mixing with the wrong crowd. And then you think, 10 years later, thinking, what did I do this weekend? I went to the garden centre around the corner from here, Christmas shopping. The conversation with the banks, I was just the same as you. I think it's maybe our age and from a similar background in Darlington. I grew up in a council estate. But with your vision of the American Express card and then the certain banks where you were like, yeah, that one's ratty. No, that one's... I was just bad laughing.
Yeah, man. It'll probably catch me up one day at that. I feel like one day some dude's going to walk up to me in the gym, like 25 stone. So, you mate, a bank with co-op. Oh, no.
Or I work for the co-op. But
yeah,
you've put it on the screen now. The reason I mentioned the men's mental health, I mean, Chris alluded to his hatred of Gary Neville for singling out middle-aged white men. And to be honest, I look at the 49er Faithful UK. If you watch our content, the 4 hosts, we're all middle-aged white men. The difference is we've got, Nadji's French, Gareth's Welsh, me and Lee, both English. And when we started working with the Niners, I think there was a bit of a push to mix it up a little bit. But when you look at our community and our group, and you go to our meetups, that's our target audience. And then, obviously, my love of the 49ers led me to that community, which allowed me to work on, mental health as a term. Similar to you, I don't like to go down that road. I'm not an expert. I don't think I have all the answers. I can only go on my own life. And 10 years ago, I was faced with a choice and I wobbled for about 18 months. And then I'm proud of where I've put myself on. So I just wanted to kind of
respect,
acknowledge that.
Yeah.
No, you said, mate, like, I remember your story. You were basically pisshead. You just being a little waste man, weren't you, really? Like, that was the top and bottom of it. Like, you were with the wrong crowd, doing naughty things. And, fast forward 10 years, big family man, big promotions and that. Garden centres.
10 years ago, I was, like, quite clean cut, straight laced, married, child, The wife was a teacher.
Was that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
When did you go through your shit time?
Well, it was basically 2015 I found out that she was doing things she shouldn't have. And I moved out about this time and, became a single parent, shared care. And then Monday to Friday, I was keeping it all together. And then on a Friday night, when it wasn't my weekend with the little one, it was, what do I do now?
Let's go.
And then effectively, I think I touched upon this before, some of the youngsters that had worked with the youth offending when, I was in my 20s, 10 years later, they're in their 20s, I'm sat in the Weatherspoons in Darlington on my own, and they kind of took me under their wing. So when I say the wrong crowd, it does them a bit of a disservice, but basically they were of young lads who were watching the footy every weekend, and I knew there was someone I could go out drinking with.
Yeah. But that's, that some people can handle it. I know some people that can just go drinking every weekend and it doesn't really affect them. But
I couldn't. I was out one night on the weekend and I was ruined. But I'd go in this weird cycle where I'd go out on a Friday or a Saturday night and then I'd wake up on the Sunday hanging. Your good friends in Cockerton would sort me out with a Parmo.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Monday would come and I'd be in that cycle of Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, not having much money. And then I really stepped up into the group a little bit more in 2018. And then I met Tracy in 2018. I thought, I'm 38 now, Dan. I need to settle down. And I cracked this joke last time, but Tracy always says it took a global pandemic for me to commit to Tracy. Because I was living in Darlington. I quite liked my little life in Darlington. I worked at the town hall. She lived in Martin, in Middlesbrough. And then you start getting more serious and the pressure's on to kind of commit this way. Just before COVID, I remember her saying, where do you see us in 5 years' time, Paul? I was like, just how we are now. Your kids go to school in Middlesbrough, I work in Darlington. That wasn't the right answer, Dan. For anyone watching at home, if your significant other asks you that question.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and, you just think 5 years ago, the world was a crazy place.
It was mental, wasn't it? I have somebody that one of my very good friends, I won't name drop, but he's now married that girl. So, just before it was all kicking off, when that nonsense was happening, he started seeing somebody, dating, if you like. Then the pandemic-y thing, whatever you want to call it, happened. And he started off doing the whole sneaky round thing, you go out for a bike ride, you're not allowed to mix, all this stuff. And I think she was high risk or something. And I think she'd basically give him the ultimate. And I mean, they'd only known each other a few weeks. And she basically said, listen, either you ain't coming round or you're staying here. But you got to choose now.
Yeah.
And I'll go get my bag then. And then, it was weird because he moved in with this person. And I was like, fucking hell, mate, you've only been on 3 dates. And he moved in.
And you being the friend, you're trying to be supportive.
I was telling him to get away. Do you know what I mean? I was saying, don't bother, no, mate. And then he did. And fast forward 5 years, they're not married, but they're everything but. They've got a house together, got a kid together. Mad. That pandemic really, I would say, made them, because if I think he'd probably be the first to admit if he had the option, because he was a single lad then, and he, I don't know what he was doing, but I imagine, he was like most single men, was, he had lots of friends, let's just say.
And he had his own place, and you get into your routine, and obviously, Tracy had her kids full time, so the nights that I was kind of child free, finished work at 5 o'clock, it allowed me to do the content creating, it allowed me to go home and have my own little routine, and it was my safety net as well, from losing everything from when I was married, because I moved out of the marital home, even though it wasn't my fault. I started again, and I was quite proud of my little house. And it was only a rented house. It was a friend's parents rented me my little house in Craig Street in Darlington, and I absolutely loved it. And then I remember I worked at Darlington Borough Council way before working from home was a thing. And I remember the boss calling us all in and saying, you're getting sent home from work. And this was like mid-morning on like a Tuesday morning. And I was like, this is weird. And I remember phoning Tracy saying, they're sending us home from work. And similar to your friend's story, I had a decision to make there and then. If I go back home and set foot in the house, I'm going to be on my own for however long this is going to be. Or do I pack a bag and do I go that way? And I never came back. I kept the house on for about 18 months.
Did
and then
you?
they sold the house. So they gave me first option to buy. But then again, you know, everything happens for a reason. And I know you're going to say you enjoyed the pandemic because
Yeah, I was 16, so
Mate, I've told you my experience, right?
no, you
In the
haven't.
pandemic.
No, mate.
yeah, I wasn't one of those people going for walks and furloughed and the sun was shining. I had work to do. I had kids bouncing off the walls, and it was obviously working for a housing provider. It was a case of we had vulnerable members of society that still needed looking after.
Yeah.
When I look back now, how I had time to do anything like content creating, but your story wasn't like mine, was it?
The only thing
No,
I've heard
mate.
about you in the pandemic is your hypothetical gym story.
Yeah, no, the pandemic was how I got through that, I don't know. Like, just pure, just that young spirit, I guess, as young as I was. I worked in a job where I was self-employed first, right? So I had no wage coming in. There was no furlough, there was no wage. I was self-employed and I had to make my own money. How I made my money was basically selling online products to other business owners. And what I found is very early on is that there was two stories, my living conditions and the income. So the income, all of a sudden, every person that I was trying to sell my wares to, let's just say, had gone, nope, spending no money because everybody shit themselves.
Yeah.
Because in turn, they weren't allowed. You think these were tradesmen. All of a sudden, the builder can't do his job because he's not a key worker. This person can't do this job. So everyone's not getting income. And therefore, they're not spending goods on advertising their business. So my income stopped, right? I had no savings. I'm not a saver, right? So I had no savings.
Tracy is, Paul's not.
And I remember that April, it was so hot.
It was unbelievable the weather, wasn't it?
I lived, and I remember people, putting pictures on social media. They're in their garden with their beard, up the furlough and all this. I had no partner at the time, so I was single, right? As it would happen, there was let's just say there was no action going on, let's just say. So I was on my own.
So you went sneaking around on bike rides like
No.
unnamed people in your circle.
No. And I lived in a flat in an attic with no outside space. So I spent it felt like 3 months stood at this window, sweating my box off, chain smoking cigarettes, well, what I could afford. Mate, I'm telling you now, at the end of that, obviously I couldn't get my beard done. At the end of that, I had a great big beard and I was tanned from the waist up. Where I'd stood at the window, I had a tan on the front of my body, but like these little white skinny legs. Mate, it was torture.
I must admit, I didn't do the lockdown haircut. I grew my hair.
Did you?
And it looked horrific, but the
That is a
photo
lockdown
at
haircut,
the
isn't it?
end was pretty good. When I went in, it did the before and after.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Tracy's too. I class them as my own, Jasmine and Kaylee, but I'm the stepdad. I'm a blended family. And when we look back on our journey, that, as much as it was chaotic and it was chaos and it was a nightmare, it helped blend us as a family. And, again, self-reflection, 5 years, crazy to think I don't think we'd do it again now, but especially working for a local authority. And I think I had it was weird because I was classed as a key worker, but I didn't feel like one. I think the definition of a key worker, fire, police, armed forces.
Yeah.
It wasn't someone collecting rent in Town Borough Council.
yeah.
But it was weird how they categorised it. I didn't want to go down the pandemic route tonight as such. It was just the rabbit hole we've disappeared down, Dan.
Yeah, mate. I remember do you remember there was like two pandemics? There was like, not two pandemics, but I just remember this weird thing, right? It just like came up my head there. And there was like the pandemic-y bit at the beginning, but then there was like that little bit at the Christmas where they announced that this lockdown was coming back in. But it was like,
They kind of opened it up a little bit, didn't they? And
for
then-
like a week or something,
it was a
at
bit
the start of December. And I remember, mate, at that time, I got on I was going somewhere like other side of the world style, right? And I'll still remember this, right? It was the most surreal moment ever. I was in an airport, right? Obviously, there was one or two people, but I was in, I think it was Manchester Airport, mate. And I remember walking to Manchester Airport and like the start of December, it was like a ghost town, mate. I mean, you were literally like, you could echo, the room was echoing. And I remember getting, them planes that go like across like the Atlantic Ocean, the big,
Yeah.
you sit 343. mate,
Yeah.
one of these massive planes, and like, I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. When I got on the plane, I got on and I had a seat number, and I was towards the back. And I remember walking through that plane, and it was empty. And I thought, oh, I'm the first one on the plane. But I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, but like, it's not. I'm not early. Like, this is right. And I just thought, this is weird. I knew it wasn't going to be full, but I knew, like, you know, I thought there'd be people. Anyway, so I sit in my seat, you know, I get my little neck brace on, and I'm sat there, you know, like you do, you get your podcast on and stuff like this, ready to go. And like, you know, you're like nodding off, and all of a sudden I can hear like the you know, the stewardesses start doing the thing.
Yeah.
And like, I haven't paid attention at first. I'm like half watching, half listening to a podcast. I'm thinking, oh, I better take one out so they can hear us, so it looks like I'm not taking the piss. So I'm stood like, just keeping an eye open and I'm giving another respect, you know what I mean, for the belt buckle. Anyway, plane starts moving. And you know, like the corner of your eye, I think, oh, there's no one next to me. I thought, get in there. So I like put me back on the seat, you know what I mean? I was buzzing. And then we started moving towards the runway, and I happened to like look round, and I'm like, oh, there's no one like in this whole aisle, right? And then I'm like, I put my head up, mate. There was one person sat down the other end of the, and I'm like, no. So I thought, this is mental. Anyway, I sat in my seat. Obviously, you can't see part of it because like there's like a toilet and like there's more.
Yeah.
And I'm putting my head down. I still can't see anybody. I'm thinking this is pretty weird. Anyway, a plane sets off, and I've got to look. Do you know what I mean? So I thingy, and I go to walk to the toilet. And as I get to the toilet and I look down, mate, it's empty. Mate, I'm on a plane, mate. I think I counted 4 people on this like 300-person plane. It was the most surreal.
And how much would it have cost you pre-pandemic to hire that plane? Because, I mean, I think I talked about this last time, and I know Ron, as you said, Colin, wasn't here. In 2020, all the crap I'd been through, it sounds stupid, but I was 40 in 2020. So the year before the pandemic, I'm not a saver, but I was dead proud. Went to Hayes travelling, Cockett and Dan. I want to go to Paris for my 40th birthday. I want to drink champagne in the Eiffel Tower. Set up my little account. Went every payday, paid it off. And then the pandemic came in, and then they cancelled all the bookings. I was fuming. But then they reopened it up again. So we were allowed to go. And I had a similar moment to you. I think I told you last time, you know, we went up the Eiffel Tower and you had to book a slot. We got to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and they've got like a little bar where you can drink a glass of champagne. But in your slot, you were the only 2.
No way.
And I remember me and Tracy looking at each other thinking, this is mental. This is something like David Beckham would get, isn't it? You know, or Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. And you got 15 minutes, you got your champagne, you got your photo, and then you went down. And because, as you said, there wasn't many people doing stuff like that, there was this photographer with like the biggest camera I've ever seen. And we had like a photo shoot on the Eiffel Tower. We felt like, you know, that moment we feel a little bit famous, a little bit celebrity. Yeah. And so that thing was good. The only disappointment was when we went to the Louvre. That was like, I think everybody who was in Paris had gone to see the Mona Lisa. And I wasn't too worried about COVID back then. I was kind of, you know, quite fit, 40. You know, we were quite healthy. But walking around that corner, the little triangle, the glass triangle, and I seen like 4,000 or 5,000 people. I thought, no. But the airport moment we had was we landed the day of the travel ban. But our flight was booked.
Right.
So I remember landing at Manchester Airport. The French, they were so paranoid. You know, you had to go through so many scanners, temperature checked. We got off the plane in Manchester. No one was bothered at all. But the door opened for, like, international arrivals. And then all the camera crew come forward. Me and Tracy were a little bit like, we're like, oh, where have you flown from? In Paris. What time was your flight? 10 o'clock this morning. We weren't the people I wanted to see because, you know, people were cutting their holiday short and they were coming home. And then we got in the car and we drove back to Middlesbrough. I remember stopping at the service station. I said, how mental was that? It just felt weird. So that was our moment of like feeling a little bit famous.
Yeah, mate, that not many people get that really. So I suppose there was like a pretty cool moment for you during that time.
And I look back and I reflect, and obviously for the people who watch might have watched on my social media, and I try not to be Mr. 49ers. I know my first ever appearance, I did play up in at the Roll, and I came in my hoodie and my hat and all the rest of it, and it was a dream of mine to do an in-person podcast. And being a fan of what you guys do, I was a little bit giddy the first time. And then the second time I was like, oh, I'm in the same company as Rob. I've got a repeat. And then obviously now I'm at number 4. So,
hey, mate, people like us, this podcast it's everybody's podcast. It's not our podcast. Yeah. We have some guests who come on once. You know, we don't know them, and we're very grateful to come on.
Yeah.
By the way, anybody watching, you got something to say. You know, you don't have to have a cool story. Just come and have a talk.
Yeah.
But I haven't counted them, but there's about a dozen people, isn't there, who are I consider it's all of our podcasts. You being one of them,
Yeah,
Marie
definitely.
being one of them,
Chris.
Norm, Chris. You know, the people who come on all the time, I consider it's all of our podcasts. You know
You've
what I mean?
created
Yeah.
a community. Now,
Yeah,
I was
man.
saying that before you turned up, like the big strength of the 49er Faithful UK, we'll have our meetups, and it's still surreal when you go to a meetup and there's a new person who's watched a podcast and they'll come and say, thank you for the work you do and all the work behind the scenes. And it isn't easy putting it all together and arranging the meetups. And it's still, the girls still get taken aback a little bit, but you have created a good community. And I've connected with people through your podcast that I wouldn't have connected with. And it's nice to see different stories and the success. And then, I follow them on social media and then they share things and then they share your stuff. So I think if you did a spider diagram, you put you in the middle and you put all the guests around, I think you'd be surprised at how connected people actually are,
Should I tell you the proudest moment of this podcast, right? The proudest moment. At this point, right, we were... How long were we?
I'm assuming I wasn't here.
No, you weren't here, but it was close to the beginning. I think it was like the first year, right? Definitely the first year. We're going to be doing about 9 months. I was in Rio de Janeiro, right? Rio de Janeiro, in the airport, coming back, right, from a friend's do thing. Well, it wasn't a do, but I was going to see my friend. And I'm stood in the queue as you're about to get on the plane. You've been called, sort of thing. You've gone and got your pop. You've got your snacks for the thing.
Yeah.
You can't wait to sit down. You want to go to sleep. You've got your neck brace on. And I still don't know who this guy is. And he comes up to me. He's obviously a British tourist. And he says, "Excuse me." And I said, "Yeah." And he went, "People like us." And I was like, and there's like people around me.
You were like that pen autograph.
Yeah, my jaws dropped. I've obviously got very embarrassed because this has never happened before. So I've gone bright red, and other people have turned around and looked. And he said, "I watch your podcast, love your podcast, mate." I still don't know who that guy is. And, I tried to, you think at the time you'd be, gracious and, "Oh, yeah, thanks, mate, cheers." But I was like, yeah, like a little fart. Do you know what I mean? I just looked like a freak. I evidently went scarlet and just wanted the ground to swallow me up. But after I got over that embarrassment, I do remember, at that point, I remember thinking, well, fucking hell, what colour yacht do I want? Do you know what I mean? Do I get grey or white? I can't, bloody hell, do I get two? I don't know. I'll invite him, he can come, Obviously, we used to living in the clouds then, but it was a very weird moment. I wish I knew who that guy was.
Well, if you watch us, reach out, because again, I've had similar stories to that. I mean, we ran out to San Francisco 2 years ago, like would have been this time 2 years ago, and there was 40 of us in the fan chapter at San Francisco, and one of our community members wasn't in the fan chapter but was in the stands and was texting me, and I was like, and then he'd come down for a photo, and then the American faithful absolutely love the passion for the 49ers, across the pond, as they call it. And I mean, I didn't get to the London watch party this year, but I still did all the work behind the scenes. And there's a new marketing manager at the 49ers. So me and Lee met with the new Lady Rocky. We were it just felt like this year, everything that could conspire against us went against us. So, do you know, when Sky can move games? So, it might be Newcastle are playing Middlesbrough, and when the fixture list come out, it's, 2:30 on a Friday, but then they move it.
Yeah.
The NFL can do something called flexing the game. So, because the Niners are on the west coast of America, we tend to have our watch parties when they play on the east coast, because I've explained this before. So the time difference is, so NFL Sundays for the NFL UK fans starts at 6 p.m. on a Sunday. So if the Niners are playing on the East Coast at 10 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon, that's a 6 o'clock game for us. That's ideal. So we had this watch party booked in October, told everybody, yep, definitely going ahead. People booking hotels, people booking travel. And then 2 weeks before, this was a surreal moment for me. The market manager contacted me and Lee. Bear in mind, the NFL is $1 billion organisation.
Huge.
And we're two divvies in the northeast of England. We were actually included, and I can say this now because it happened. She got us on Zoom and she was like, "What I'm about to tell you, you cannot tell anybody because the Niners will get into trouble. But we're flexing our game." So which meant the game was going to become a later kickoff. So we're like, oh my God, people are travelling from. So instead of it being a 6 o'clock game, it suddenly became a 9:30 game. Now that doesn't sound like a massive difference to people who might not like the NFL, but an NFL game lasts for about 3 hours. And in the UK, with the licensing laws on a Sunday, so we had this massive panic. But then equally, I had this kind of like, felt like James Bond. Like I had this secret, didn't dare touch my phone. Lee was like, don't say anything to anyone, Paul, because I'm notorious for like, if me and you were having a chat now, forgetting where I am a little bit. I'm like, oh, do you know what, Dan? The NFL flex this game. And so I was like, for 48 hours, I was like, and every time someone like texted me, about what's going on with the watch party, I was like, oh, I can't say. And then at the end of it, when it all went smooth, she went on the Zoom call with us and she was like, so lads, what jersey would you like? Me and Lee are like, what on earth are you talking about? She went, surely the Niners have given you stuff in the past for like help. And we were like, no. And this year they've launched a new jersey. So maybe because I'm a bit cheeky now, I was like, I want one of the new ones. She went, yeah, just send me your size, send me your player. And lo and behold, she come across from San Francisco with a shiny new jersey that was sold out. But again, putting your foot in it, I get the jersey. Social media, everyone's like, where did you get that from? I was like, they weren't out yet. I wasn't supposed to share it. But even things like that, 5 years down the line, even in my 40s, I'm still getting giddy that I get a few freebies thrown in here and there. But it's not paying the bills. It's not going to be a stage where I'm here saying world exclusive people like us, Paul Hope, content creator full time. I mean, I don't know, Dan. Maybe.
Well, I don't know. Your particular niche is well, it is a niche. First things first, and what you're reliant on, in order for you to grow, that sport needs to get bigger in this country.
Yeah,
because
and my team
and
so
your team
at the moment, the Niners. We've just come off the back of maybe's. We're not one of the better teams at the moment.
Have you never thought? I mean, just what do I know? But like, have you never thought of slightly changing your content from, instead of 49ers Faithful UK about one team, making it about American football, doing an American football
I've considered
news
it,
show?
But the NFL's 32 teams, and at the moment, covering one team's hard. I mean, like, for context, you've got me on here tonight. Could you imagine if you would have to do 32 of these in a week? Do you know what I mean?
But what I mean is, at the moment, you get very, very deep on pretty much every single thing that's going on with your team. You don't necessarily have to do that. It's more because what people are into, like, okay, let's look at the Premier League, right? Everybody sort of listening to this probably has a bit more understanding about that. There's 20 teams in the league, right? Okay, let's just say you're doing something, your team happens to be Manchester City, right? Let's say you do a show about Manchester City. You're talking about, potential injury rumours about somebody, like it's potential rumours, and you're going very deep into that team. But people who do like a Premier League show, they're just touching on the very big points on each team. And I think if you're doing that, your catchment audience is going to just, 30 times. How many people are in the league?
There's 32 teams. I mean, it is something I've considered, and obviously I've had a bit of a break in my own content this year. I mean, Tracy watching now has probably thrown things at the screen saying, Dan, are you absolutely crazy? He's not allowed to cover more than one team. But then I suppose at the heart of it, I'm a fan of the 49ers. And you're right, you could sit here now and we could have a loose discussion about some of the other teams in the league and branching outside of the NFL. Like, I was chuckling when Chris threw Gary Neville under the bus. I don't do English football at all, other than my father-in-law's a Middlesbrough fan, my brother-in-law's a Tottenham fan. If we're going for dinner, similar to you, Sky Sports News, I can hold my own in a conversation. I used to love English football 20-odd years ago. I used to play football. Not at a high standard like Dino Brown, but I was all right. But The Overlap is one of the favourite podcasts that I watch.
Me too.
And I love that around the room, this feel like we've got now. I mean, I was a Liverpool fan back in the day, for everyone throwing stuff at the camera now. I hated Manchester United because they won everything. It's part of the reason why I'm not a football fan, because I could only take so much abuse. But then watching how powerful it was to watch Paul Scholes talk about his son, that resonated. Roy Keane, he would probably hate anyone for approaching him in the street. Roy Keane's a 49ers fan. Trust me, since I found that out, I have sent many a message to try and get Roy Keane on the podcast or at the watch parties. But I like that feel, and it's very similar to this vibe. Like you said, this will pop up on people's YouTube screen. People like us, depending on the title, you don't know what you're going to get. You put it on, you watch, you tune in, you see the rabbit holes that people go down, I guess.
Well, I don't think you should pack content in, Paul. I actually think you're very good at content. I actually think you've actually got a knack for it, a natural knack. what little I have watched of the 49er thing, I admit, I've watched it, but I don't know what you're talking about because I don't understand. Like, you talk about stuff in your lingo, the way you talk about stuff, I don't understand what you're saying. It's like a foreign language.
Yeah,
but I
it
have
is very
sat and
niche.
watched all of you do it, and like, I can clearly see, not that your other lads aren't any good, they're fine, they're good, but I do notice something in you, and I do think you're actually pretty good at doing that, at talking into a mic, into a screen. You're pretty good at it. And I think, in my opinion, you shouldn't pack it in.
I don't think I'm going to pack it in. I just think like this week, you know, we have our own shows and stuff, but then I've always said to you, if the bat signal comes out from people like us, especially I only live around the corner.
The bat signal.
And it's something that I enjoy. I always think you're struggling for a guest, you've got me on. But again, you know, driving here tonight, I was thinking, what else can I tell Dan about? I was like, all right. I remember when Johnny was talking about his lightsaber. I've got a story about my own lightsaber, which I can share.
You got a lightsaber?
But the content creating, like, you know, again, I've noticed there's a different theme since Southpaw's left. There's a few naughty words being said, and I said to the girls tonight, I'm not going to swear on Dan's podcast.
Don't swear.
Don't swear, kids. But I'm not going to pack it in. I just think the fact that I've been a bit more busy at work, we've had some stuff on at home, you know, there's been a bit of upheaval. And then again, I've not been maybe the greatest boyfriend to Tracy over the years.
Oh.
You know, maybe I need to grow up a little bit more now. And she's epic. My life wouldn't be where it is now without.
Shout out Tracy.
I always say,
Shout out Tracy.
what did I say? There's always a great woman behind a good man. So and she'll get embarrassed. She does watch the show, Dan. So I'll give her a little shout out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but listen, again, just final thing on it, Paul. Please don't quit doing content, and actually, please go and do something broad.
Well, I've had a bit of a humbling experience. So obviously doing your podcast and you start to think, oh, you know, people recognise you a little bit. Oh, you were on that podcast. So then I sent a few invitations out to some others based in the Northeast and I got totally custard pied. Totally
you?
like, who are you? No, we don't do American football. And it was like, oh, okay. But circling back, Kaylee's 18 now. She's at uni. She's working. I have a great relationship with both my stepdaughters and I'm a bit of a wind-up merchant. Maybe that doesn't come across. And I love Star Wars, hence my little geek book. And for my birthday this year, Kaylee was like, right, what do you want for your birthday? And I was sat at home on my Instagram reels, because I don't do TikTok, and I saw a story where there was a Darth Vader original lightsaber, $3 million. So I kept sending it to her for a joke. You know, this is what I want for my birthday. Anyway, the birthday comes, massive box. Now I'm thinking, obviously, it's not a $3 million lightsaber.
I'm going to say,
you know. However,
what's Kaylee doing?
Can you compare
the funny moment of opening at 45 years of age, a child's toy. It's not as good as Johnny's lightsaber, but they've forgotten that I'm a wind-up merchant. So it's now Dark Knight's done. So I've had lots of fun at the moment winding the girls up. But it just shows that kind of like that thought that she's working her own money. I don't know how much it was. You know, but the sentiment of kind of
it's sweet, man.
What we've said.
That is sweet.
It is really sweet.
I was like my girlfriend. I've still got two to make. I said one Christmas because I used to get loads as a kid. Oh, get some Lego for Christmas. And like now, like every Christmas without fail, I've got Lego from both my mum and my girlfriend.
Do you like Lego?
I like the idea of Lego, but like I get home on a night now. Sometimes I'm staying back a little bit, you know, getting the podcast all sorted, and it's like get back 8 o'clock, and I'm just like, I'm not doing that. Like I've got a bonsai tree to be made from last Christmas.
I was going to say a Lego bonsai tree or a real bonsai tree.
No, a Lego bonsai tree.
And just thinking of you there, Ron, just sorry, mate, the visual image. Obviously, people behind the camera haven't said, you know, Ron's about 7 foot tall. Like, you know what I mean? He's not a little guy. He's a big guy, Ron. He's got a big, deep voice. I've got this image of you sat in your bedroom at your mum's with your legs crossed, mate, with your pajamas on, right?
With his board, his magnifying glass,
putting your leg out together. That's like some of a horror movie, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like scary shit, that, man.
I'll tell you what I do. I open the box up, right, but then keep the sides. So you just put all your pieces in there. I put the booklet to one side, and I'm just like, left hand holds what I'm building. I'm just like constantly like looking. Yeah, like I'm playing a tennis match with this thing when I'm building in the booklet. That's what I'm doing.
The reason I mentioned the bonsai tree, it was something Tracy wanted for Christmas a few years ago, and they're quite expensive.
Oh, aye.
So being the dutiful boyfriend, I bought said bonsai tree. I then killed said bonsai tree by overloving it because I was obsessed with watering it. So every single day I'd come down, make me a cup of tea, water this blooming tree. And about 3 months in, it was totally dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
And then when I read the instructions back, it was like, yeah, you shouldn't be watering it as much as that. So maybe I'll get her a Lego bonsai one
Yeah,
for
that
Christmas.
one will die.
When you were a kid, what was like? Can you remember? I mean, you're still a kid now, Ron, to be fair. So it wasn't long ago. But for you, Paul, it was like 100 years ago, like me. So like when you were younger, I'd be interested actually to hear what your answer is, Ron, because this will be the contrast in like generations. See, how old are you, Ron?
21.
21. So you got a 21, a 45, and a 40-year-old. Right. So, okay. When you were a kid, cast your mind back to when you were about 10, Paul. What was the thing, the toy, when you were still into toys? Well, you're still into toys now, to be fair, mate. You're still into toys now.
I'm going to say I got a lightsaber for my birthday.
What was the toy that you pined after? Or what was the thing that you pined after that A, you did get, or B, you didn't get?
So, do you want me to answer or do you want Ron to answer?
I want you
first?
to answer first, Paul.
Because obviously, your answer of like, I'm 5 years older than you. So for me, I can remember going back to like the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, the first kind of game station is what Tracy would call them. I wanted one of them.
Right.
I got whichever the uncool version was. But
Right.
I remember being proper chuffed and either a push bike or a skateboard.
Right.
Lego was a thing, but it wasn't as big as what it is now.
Yeah.
You used to get the little police cars, didn't you? And you used to get all the bits and you could make them, where now if you go into a Lego shop, you can buy the bloody Millennium Falcon or the Death Star.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Lego wasn't as good as back then, but I would say something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What was yours, Ron? What did you
Mine-
want when you were a kid?
I worked it out that at 10 years old, because I used to ride mine to school, I wanted an MGP scooter.
What on earth is that?
It is a stunt scooter. Basically,
stunt scooter.
You know, like, so you have the handlebars.
I
and
actually
then you
know
have the
what
deck
one
at
of
the
them
bottom.
is, because Jasmine, my stepdaughter, got one of them. So yeah, it's to do like
Yeah.
the stunts on them.
So like the deck at the bottom will just basically mean it spins the whole way around, and like
Oh, yeah.
a good quality scooter, but like back then they were like, I think like £300.
Were they?
So like,
the durable as well, because when I
Yeah.
moved Jasmine's and it clocked me in the shin because the full thing spun round, I didn't pick said scooter up and fling it against the wall in a fit of rage and it stood in all right. But 1990 was when I was 10. So that just goes to show what the toy market will have been. When you asked me
Yeah,
that, I was
man.
thinking, Jesus Christ.
that was like the aim. And then like I used to ride my scooter at primary school. Like maybe like we'd all ride our scooters to primary school. We had fucking bike locks, which
Did ya?
mine you could absolutely still take the scooter from with the bike lock on.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just daft. But no, like all of us, like every night without fail. And that's soon start getting dark. It's when your numbers start dropping. Right, go home. We've got to be back in.
You know, when I was a kid,
So
right?
what was yours then, before you move on?
Well, I always, and I used to think I was so hard done by. You have to remember, again, from a council estate, I pined. I know this was an expensive one. I pined after a motorbike. I wanted a motorbike. You know, a kid's motorbike. You know, like, not every kid, but a few kids had motorbikes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up on Branksome. So
Yeah.
there was a couple kicking
not
about.
many, but some did. And I thought they were so cool. Like
a pit bike.
yeah, like a little crosser,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I was about to say a cross bike.
Basically, yeah. I don't think they had gears, like, because kids can't really work gears. I wouldn't have thought so. But a couple of kids I knew had them, and I wanted one so much. And now I'm older, I'm so glad I didn't get one.
It's weird you talk about, see, like, when I was 10 in 1990, so 95, 15, living on Branksome, working on a milk round, and I wanted a pair of Nike Air Max. That was what I wanted. And I remember, getting your £15 a week off the milkman, saving it up. And I remember paying like £150 for this bright white pair of Air Max.
Wow.
No red tick. I remember taking them into school, changing them into, like, I'm not playing football in them. To fast forward to this year, I've kind of rediscovered my love for sneakers. And
Have you?
Tracy's raging because I keep buying trainers.
Yeah, man.
I just don't know what it is, but I don't get the whole, I don't know if people are watching the whole, they release a trainer and then it sells out.
Yeah.
So then you got the shop and that, oh yeah, we haven't got any of them in. What are you talking about? Like, why haven't you got any of them in?
Listen, I'm going to say this now, right? As a trainer connoisseur, I do like my trainers, right? I'm going to say this now. Trainers nowadays have not a mark on the trainers from back in the day.
I would agree.
Nike Air Maxes, mate, when I was 15, you must have been about 20, or like maybe even younger, like 10. They started off like that phase between the early 90s and like about the early 2000s, that phase of Nike Air Max, mate, they're absolutely delicious.
I think the money, so back then peak, I had my Air Max, I had my first Predators that Beckham had. And
Yeah,
then when you
man.
look back over the years and you think, oh, if I had them now. So yeah, I'm a Nike. I do like my Nike trainers. So Tracy's always, when there's a delivery coming, I think I bought about 4 pairs of trainers this year since I seen her in June. But, and the other thing I wanted to touch upon, I know we're going off all over. I know you've talked Parmos quite a lot on this show.
We have, yeah, like a Parmo.
And I know for yourself, being where you live, I'm a Dalton lad. So like Dan, I had the same haunts as Dan. I moved to Middlesbrough with Tracy. And I shared this story before, but because you haven't heard it, I have to share it again. And it was, I think we were in lockdown. I was working from home. I remember Tracy and Kaylee were going to the chip shop on a dinner time, just a random, Wednesday afternoon, chippy dinner.
It's a gangster move, that.
But, yeah.
Chippy on a lunchtime.
Fish and chips or a chip
spoiled
butty. Wasn't bothered. Anyway,
Gangster.
Kaylee comes back in. Pizza box. He's poor looking. Sits down, opens it up. The best Parmo I've ever seen in my entire life.
No, eh?
It's like, where have you got that from? She was like, well, it's a Martin Chippy special. As if it was the most normal thing in the world to go to your chip shop and get a Parmo. Cash only. Can't order it. Ordinarily, Dan, my fish and chips would have been epic. But compared to that, I was fuming. But the reason I've mentioned the Parmos is on the 49er Faithful UK, because we were up at stupid o'clock on a Sunday talking football, we have a game day thread where we share our snacks, what we're eating. And because we're spread out across the UK, people not from the northeast have suddenly become very jealous of the Parmo, and it's become a very big talking point. Do you know, at the point where like people down south are like, yeah, we want one of them. We're coming to the northeast to get one. But then you say, don't just come to the northeast. You need to come to Teesside. And you talked about that with Chris, don't you? There's like that 20-mile radius where you get a Parmo. And controversial, I'm like you, Manjaro's doesn't quite do it for me.
Too fat, man.
I know you might be wanting to sponsor the show, and I'm sorry, but...
They've been asking, we said no.
But I just wanted to acknowledge that, like, even that, you share things, don't you? So there's some lad in London logged on his couch on a Sunday night to watch the NFL, and he's pining after a Parmo. There was a lad up in Scotland, was buzzing because he got sent to the northeast on work, and he made a trip especially to Teesside to get his Parmo. And you think he only knew about that because of our group. And that's mental, that, isn't it, when you think
Very.
of, like...
Yeah.
Mad. Is it really the case though, Ron? Is it like, or are we just saying that? Because like, I can't say I know that down south don't have Parmos. Are they just rare, or do they just not have them?
No, they don't.
Well, just
have them.
like, so like, okay.
No, they don't. Like, the
Really?
lads I know from
Yeah.
London don't. And the ones, even like, there's a lad who lives in Manchester, and he said some of his local takeaways have tried. But like you said, if you get it wrong, it can be horrific, can't it? It's not a Parmo. Sometimes they'll just have like a chicken breast with a bit of breadcrumbs, and they just whack some cheese on the top. It's that ratio that you said before of the chicken, the sauce, the cheese.
The bechamel, yeah, it's got to be ratio, it's got to be right. Because question, like, am I like mad in thinking this? You know, like, the people who make Parmos, they're generally pizza shops, right?
Yeah.
And like, if I know we don't see it that way, to us it looks like Turkish food or Algerian food, but it's actually an Italian food is pizza. So like, do they do them in Italy?
To be honest with you,
Is a Parmo an Italian thing? We could Google that, Ron.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
is it the Bertree? Have I got that right?
Yeah, there is a Bertree, yeah.
The pub. I'm going back 20 years ago. The first Parmo I ever had was in there, and the origin story I got was the lad who owned it at the time, Andy, was a big Borough fan, and he'd had a Parmo at a Borough game, and he started doing them at the Bertree, and that's where I think it originated in Darlington. And then, like you, living in Craig Street, Godfathers, I've got that right, isn't it? It's not Goodfellas, Godfathers. The
In
takeaway.
Cockerton?
In Cockerton.
Yeah. 4645.
To be fair, I would just walk and get it.
Yeah, man.
And I was proper giddy walking around with this takeaway. So that was
Beautiful.
that was a big decision when I had to move, Dan. You know, but then Tracy's supplied. There's about 7 of an equal standard to that where I live now.
The thing is-
You've got some ball knowledge. I was just gonna.
What's going on?
This is what it says. Chicken Parmo is a beloved dish from the northeast of England, particularly Middlesbrough. It was developed in the 1950s by a chef of Italian descent, who had served in the British Army during World War II and settled in Middlesbrough.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
I would have never thought of Parmo to be an Italian.
Well,
like,
think
I don't
about
know
it.
what it is. Like,
They
it's,
come from pizza shops.
And you
Well,
missed the
yeah,
episode where I think it was Benny and Southpaw, and you actually had Parmos, didn't you?
Oh,
You were talking about
that
it.
slop he brought in. Like, no, mate. Like, what did he... I can't remember where it come from. Like, do you know what? No, he brought the Manjaros one,
He
didn't
brought the Manjaros one, yeah. Because what was interesting
No, he
is that-
didn't. He didn't. So we had 3. We had a Manjaros, He didn't. We had a Godfather's Manjaras. He had some slop from some pizza shop, and I think it was like La Roma or something. Like, no offense to La Roma, but like, I'm sure La Roma make nice food, obviously.
But he was championing his. That's the bit I was going to get to. What was
Yeah.
good about that episode, and it's a topic that you
No.
know certain guests talk about. But being a Darlow lad living in Middlesbrough, it's got to be done. But yeah, that was a good episode. That one.
I think the only time, if you've lived in Cockerton area and you've had access to Godfathers, right? Not that we talk about it a lot. I think anywhere you're going to move, that is one downside that is going to be a downside thing. You're not going to have access to Godfathers unless you move to Teesside, because that's an upgrade.
But the food story. So I am a Five Guys fan, like yourself. So obviously living where I live near Teesside Park, Tracy hates Five Guys. The first one
Tracy,
I had
no,
was
Tracy.
in Paris, and I don't know where I was in the capital of what cuisine. Paul went for a Five Guys, and it was epic. But when you said it could get delivered to Darlington,
Naughty that, mate.
and to clarify, Chris got something wrong. Tom Hortons, we didn't have any from there, but it was horrible. But Wendy's is the one that has the square burgers.
Is it?
And there's a Wendy's in Borough. I love Wendy's over McDonald's.
Never had a
It's
Wendy's.
Loads better.
Is it?
The burgers are fresher.
Is it?
The
See,
chips are good.
It's like in with Parmo's, because I'm not from Teesside, although I have a Teesside postcode. I don't understand the hype. Like, I don't, like, for yous like talk about it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Like, it is
It
a
is.
goddess. Like,
You
a
went
god
down
of
in my
food.
estimation. I'm not going to lie, that episode, when you
In
went down
history-
that slander, I was
In
like...
history, Ron, in history, right, there's been a few very important things that have happened, right? I think one of, I'll name a few of them, like plumbing for toilets. That was very important. Fire, very important. Changed the world. The wheel, very important. The Parmesan, chicken Parmesan was another one, very important to this world. It's up there with the wheel, fire,
You just haven't had a good one yet.
The
And once
combustion
you've had a
engine.
good one, it's life-changing. And similar to Dan, like, I'm not saying I'm a health freak, and I talked about it on the last show. I try to look after myself. I try to, the fact that when Benny was here the other week and he was saying that his dad's 50, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm 45. I'm not far off that. I try and look after myself a little bit. But I said to you last time, you talked about, 20 years ago, you were maybe obsessed with the dream of a six-pack, and you were denying yourself certain stuff. I don't do that anymore now. I enjoy my food, but equally with the Parmo, I can go 6 months without having one, and then all of a sudden I'll crave one. But I won't go any longer than that, so...
No.
See, I think I can count on two hands how many Parmo's I've had in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you not
like,
rate them that much?
It's not that. It's just like I've never...
Had a good one?
Well, maybe, but because like I say, I'm not from the area
Nah.
as such. Anytime I go to a pizza shop, I get a pizza. I've never looked and went, I'll get a Parmo. I did once. Not the greatest.
See, I suppose,
fish
like-
burn pizza was slacking in that department a little bit. Like,
I suppose, like as you were saying before, like your priorities change. Like, for me and Tracy, like the girls are older now, so we can go out for a meal, and we do try to. Eating out has become a thing for us, going out for a date night and stuff. And I tend to be a creature of habit. I tend to go to the same places, eat the same kind of food. She's a bit more adventurous than me, but it just goes to show you, travelling up here tonight again, Tracy will say, why do they want to talk to you? What can you tell them about American football? I was like, Tracy, I don't know what we're going to talk about. That's the beauty of it. And I think with a show like yours, that's why you hook people in, because you just don't know which rabbit hole you're going to go down. You don't know what conversation you're going to have.
It's not about anything, really. Just start talking, innit? See where you end up. Look, we've ended up here now. We talked about Christmas presents. We're on Parmo's. We see them come with Parmo's a lot, though. But like the Parmo thing, it's just like throughout the country, you've got areas that are just known for things. You go to Scotland, it's haggis and ironbrew. You come down to us, it's the Parmo. You go down to London, it's what? Jelly deals, pie and mash. You go to Cornwall, it's the Cornish pasty. It's just a regional thing, innit? I guess.
I just wanted to touch upon, obviously, like with the group, and for us, it's like sharing those game day snacks and then the drinks. And obviously, last time I was here, I brought down the glass bottle Coke. For me, Coca-Cola tastes better out of a glass bottle, but it has to have a glass and some ice.
Obviously.
You had me on them things last time that I thought I wasn't sure. But it's just Christmas. Talking about Christmas. Tracy is the hardest person in the world to buy for, because she's a proper typical mum. Doesn't want anything. Spends money on the kids. So trying to buy a present for someone like that is difficult. Where I'm not the saver in our house. There's always stuff that I want to buy.
I don't know if it's just me, and I don't mean this to sound... Well, it can't be sexist because it's a compliment. If it is taken as sexist, I don't give a fuck if it does, pardon my language. Do you know what I mean? Stick up your backside. And it is a compliment. So I don't know if it's just me that it seems as though ladies, females, are better at buying gifts. They have a knack for being thoughtful. So, like, for example, I think it was last year, the year before, my mum bought me a Christmas present, right? And what it was, you remember this, Paul, it was Tracy Island. Do you remember?
Yeah.
From the Thunderbirds?
I do remember this, yeah.
So when I was a little boy, that was like, I got that when I was about 9 or 10, Tracy Island with the Thunderbirds. It was my main gift, and I was just like, I loved it. I played with it every single day. And like you do, you get older, it ends up in the attic, going in the bin, whatever. I haven't seen a Tracy Island for 30 years probably. And my mum had found one, but it was original.
Yeah.
So it was in the box was, she bought it off eBay. So it was battered, the box was battered and stuff like this, but you brought it out and the button still worked. And it made all the noise and the trees fell down, and it had a Thunderbird or two with it. And I remember, it probably didn't cost a lot of money, I don't think, but the thoughtfulness on that, to think that as a little boy, I used to play with this Tracy Island on the floor, and she thought to buy me that. Now, granted, I looked at it and it stayed at Mum's house in the attic, but the thoughtfulness of it was just amazing. And I don't know if it's just me, but ladies seem to have a knack for this. They seem to have a way to be more thoughtful than males, because I've never bought anybody a gift like that. My brain doesn't work like that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I tend to do all right for Tracy. It's just difficult when, she doesn't want us to spend the money on her. I mean, thoughtfulness a different way. One of the things that Tracy's big on is traditions. And obviously, since we blended our family, so Christmas Eve, we have a thing in our house where on the night, everybody's home, phones are off, and basically we have like a games night, or you have to do a show, a performance, a reading. The first year, I was a little bit nervous, Jasmine got up and sang Silent Night, Kaylee did a dance around. But then as they got older, the stakes got raised.
Right.
So a couple of years ago, I thought, you know what, Dan, I'm going to pull this out of the bag. Bought a Grinch outfit.
Yeah.
And the kids howled. But because I'd set the bar so high, the year after, I thought, you know what, I'll buy a Deadpool mask and I'll just put that on with the Santa suit. Crashed and burned.
Did it?
But it's something that, as a family, we look forward to on Christmas Eve, and it's that thoughtfulness of kind of putting something together. So, I can remember last year when I was here, I told you I'd gone on the Crystal Maze with Tracy, and it was absolutely awesome. So, Tracy did a Crystal Maze hunt for the girls last Christmas Eve, and we had to run around the house, and it sounds stupid to people listening at home, but then we look at those memories, and it's just one night of the year where we're at home, we switch the phones off, and then, like you said, Christmas, I will get her sorted. It's just, if you said to me, oh, is there anything you want, Paul? I'm like, there's a 50% sale on Nike at the moment, Dan. There's about 20 pairs of trainers that I want. There's always 90s gear that I want. I'm quite easy to buy for. Star Wars. And the girls as well, because they've got older, their wish list has got a little bit more expensive. But Tracy always knocks Christmas out the park. I literally have to buy for Tracy and help her sort the girls out. She does everything else. I'm kind of like that dad on Christmas Day. When the girls are like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Does anybody else feel this when they bought a gift, right? Do you know, like, God, I hate being bought gifts. I hate it.
I don't like the opening in front of people. And like, if I turn up tonight with what I thought was a really thoughtful gift for you, and the pressure, the camera's on, and you're like, there you go, Dan. And you're like, if you open it and you're like, oh yeah, what did you get me this for? It's crap. Like, that pressure on, isn't there, to kind of feel grateful for a gift?
But do you ever feel like you overplay it? So I'll talk you through the process that happens to me with gifts, right? And it gets worse every year. It starts like literally like on the morning of Christmas Day. I know at some point somebody's going to hand me something. I'm going to have to sit in front of people, and I'll start getting anxiety that this moment's going to come. And the anxiety is that I don't want to seem ungrateful, because I am grateful. But sometimes I think I look ungrateful. So what happens then is, I'm worried all day, and I'm trying to like run in my head how to act. Like, this is how messed up my head is, right? So I'm like, okay, like, go that far, but don't go that far. And my worry is that either I look ungrateful, or I've tried too hard and it looks like I'm pretending to be grateful, therefore they know I'm ungrateful and just pretending to be grateful. I'm a mess, right? I'm a mess. This happened every year, and I absolutely detest getting given gifts for this reason. I like the gifts, But every time I walk away, I never think, yeah, you did good there, mate. I always think you underplayed it or you overplayed it.
So do you just change, like, given that what you've just said there, so do you have like a set routine? Like, so for us, we always go to Tracy's mum's on Boxing Day and we swap gifts with, Tracy's sister, Tracy's mum. We all open the gifts in front of each other. It takes that.
Yeah, we do that.
Where I grew up on the council estate where you got all your presents off everyone. And then on Christmas morning, you had like 100 presents.
Yeah.
When I met Tracy, I was like, what do you mean? You open presents on Boxing Day? Like, I was a little bit confused at that. But actually, as I've, got into it kind of breaks up a little bit. And obviously for us, the girls open their presents first and then they'll see the dad. And then me and Tracy will exchange gifts. But yeah, there is that element. I don't think... I always worry, have I got this right? She got me way too much more. And I'll be honest, we have the money conversation. I always say, well, look, what are you spending? Because my biggest fear is, I rock up here tonight and I brought you 4 bottles of glass bottle Coke and you've gone and sourced a signed Fred Warner jersey and you're like, there you go, Paul. I'm like, okay. And I always want to know, because again, it isn't about, like you spent 250, I have to spend 250. But if I'm spending 20 quid and you're spending 250, then I'm going to look like an absolute idiot. So that's where I like to kind of be in the right ballpark of figures.
I'm like that. Like our last she plans well in advance, so she's been asking me for like the past month, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, I don't know. Normally I got myself a big clubber, So I just say to her, I was like, I'd normally wait till Black Friday, see what's on offer, and then if I like something, I'll get them.
Yeah.
And then if you want to send me the money and go, I'll give you that for Christmas. Fair
Yeah.
But then you've got nothing to open on Christmas Day.
No, I do, because I get that at Christmas.
Yeah, wrap it up, innit?
Yeah.
That's all right then.
But like, I always ask her, I'm like, how much are we spending? She was like, we'll do this. And like, are you sure though? Because like, I feel like sometimes she'll want to spend more, but then like last minute she'll say no. Like she'll stick to that limit. And then like a few Christmases in the future, I've found myself like spending a lot more. I don't mind spending a lot more, but then I feel bad because I've spent more because she feels like she should have spent more.
Christmas is just a mess, isn't it?
I'll be honest.
It's so horrible.
Last year, I did do the whole, we agreed a budget and I went a little bit over. And I did feel like, the boss on Christmas Day. And then this year, and again, there's things that I've asked for that I'm sure Tracy will sort out, but we always try to have like an element of a surprise. And then because we met later in life, like Valentine's Day, skipping past Christmas, we always say, right, something small, 20 quid, no more, but it's got to be thoughtful. And obviously we didn't get together as kids. So to us, Valentine's is quite important. And then, like you say, Christmas Day. And what I've loved about Christmas this year is Kaylee's 18, earning her own money. Jasmine's 15, got a part-time job. Jasmine's trying to compete with her sister. Like, right, so if Kaylee's spending this on mum, I have to spend that. Like, Jasmine, you're 15. I will give you money to spend on your mum. Don't worry about that. Yeah. But they'll buy stuff. And then, like, tonight, Jasmine's coming from school and she's like, yeah, our Christmas presents arrived today, Paul. And I'm like, she's buying me some out of her own money. And that feels like, and again, you talk on this show of different families and stuff. We're a blended family and we're proud of that. They get on with the dad. As I was leaving tonight, the girl's dad was there fixing Kaylee's car. And I've opened the door. All right, Paul, all right, Mark, all right. We get on well. He comes to ours on Christmas morning. He's got his new partner. There's no animosity, the way we feel it should be. But I do have a sense of pride that I call them my girls. And that's not taken away from what he does. No. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, mate. Like,
that's really nice, though.
Isn't it?
Because, like, my parents split up, so, like, but they never cross paths. I can, maybe 2-3 times in my lifetime I've ever seen them cross paths.
Put it this way, Tracy buys all Mark's Christmas presents still, and he just bank transfers her half the money. And then he turns up on Christmas Eve. She hands him the Christmas presents to hand out to all because they were married for a long time. And that, to me, seems mental. You say about coming from a separated family.
Yeah.
We've been together since 2018, and they split up the year before. So every Christmas, she's still buying ex-mother-in-law, ex-sister-in-law. And do you know what? Give credit to the man. Tracy is the most organised person in the world, not like me and you. Spreadsheets, calculators. She'll give him an amount that he has to pay for Christmas. And I don't think I've ever seen the man go, can I have a look at that? Do you know what I mean?
No. Trust.
And she'll over-explain it. She'll be like, well, I've got this spreadsheet, I've got these receipts. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to complain.
No, just trusting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm down with it. I think it's cool, Paul. I think it's good that you've got that relationship there where you can be sound about it. A lot of people do have, like, emotions and stuff and feelings and stuff. And I know it must be difficult. I get it. Like, what do I know? I've never been married or in that situation. But I'd like to think if I ever was, I hope I could be that, like, just, you know what I mean? Like, just... Like, if I was married for a long period of time, No, other way around. If I was you and my partner had been married for a long period of time, then split up, and they had a similar relationship like that, I don't know, but I hope I could be like you are and just be like, yeah, I get it. Like, you're with him for a long time, you know, father of the kids, I assume he's father of the kids,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So Mark
father
and
of the
Tracy
kids.
were together a long time. I mean, he's a Man United fan. It pains me to say that for his 40th birthday, they wanted to buy him a Man United shirt, and I had to order a Man United shirt. I didn't want to spend any money, but that was what they wanted to get him.
Yeah,
and,
man.
You know,
It's nice, man.
it's blended families is not easy. Me and Tracy dated a long time before we met the kids. She offered me to meet him, but then like you fast forward to I take Kaylee to Martin train station on a Thursday, and on a Friday she'll get a train at 6:45. And again, I'm not trying to be sexist, but Tracy, I was like, you're not going at that time in the morning. That's a man job.
Right.
That's for me to go.
Yeah.
And that half an hour of getting up, taking Kaylee to the train station, we have that bit of banter. She gets on the train. I'm going to embarrass her here. You know, if you were seeing someone off the train station, Dan, to get on the train, you'd expect them at least the first time, you know, wave, wouldn't you? So I'm
Yeah.
stood in the cold, in the dark. Kaylee gets on. She sits down. Paul's waiting. Does she look up and wave? No, she doesn't. And I'm like, cheers, Kaylee. But she's a massive, massive Stranger Things fan. So I'm behind the curve on Stranger Things.
I don't even know what it is.
Right, it's a Netflix show. I'm not quite into it as Kaylee, but she's like literally bang up to date. And you know, fashion, and when you buy clothes,
Yeah.
there's a character on there. Kaylee wanted this jacket.
Right.
Now we haven't talked about AI, but I do love the old Chat GTP and Google reverse image. If you want to buy something, you get a photo. Last Thursday morning at 7:00 in the morning, I'm searching reams of these jackets she wants. And we only found one on eBay, didn't we?
No.
Her mum's not a shopper. Jacket come on the Sunday. Paul's getting massive brownie points because, you know, the stepdaughter's got this cool jacket that you can't get anywhere in the UK, and we bagged one off eBay. And that's the relationship that I have with them. And, you know, we'll text. They're both massive Swifties. They keep trying to get me to listen to Taylor Swift songs.
Oh, it was brutal.
Oh, well, that's massive. I never get the aux
mate.
cable on the weekend, me.
Oh,
So-
look, she's a great artist. Look, you know what I mean? Like, she's obviously doing something right because she's made a hell of a lot of money. But I can't listen to that noise, me. Like,
Oh.
Nah, I'm the same as you. I said last time I was here, you know, I'm that 45-year-old man listening to gangster rappers. I'm, you know, sweeping up in the kitchen,
Yeah,
or, you know,
man.
got my headphones and I'm washing up listening to stuff like that. My taste is wide and varied, but we talked at the start about murder documentaries. I do love a good murder documentary, which is weird, given, like, I don't think I've got a violent bone in my body, but you were saying about at the start and
isn't it
all those
weird though,
things.
with them documentaries? Like, it's got to a point where, like, it's almost ASMR for me. Like, I got to a point now where, like, I allow myself a couch nap, a sofa nap on a Saturday night, right? So I'll put, you know,
One of them on.
Yeah, but it has to be that. And like, it sounds really weird, and I'm maybe a psychopath in the making, but like, there's nothing more I like than just nodding off and just hearing the description about how a woman got brutally stabbed and molested. There's nothing more I like. I just drift off, and it's nice.
Does it have to be a woman then, or can it be?
It could. I'm not sexist. It could be anything. I mean,
that was a bit specific.
I've listened to everything. I mean, some of the stuff I wouldn't even say on here because it's that heinous. Some of the stuff I've watched in documentaries, but I always fall asleep with it on.
So, do you
know?
have Amazon Prime at your
I do.
residence?
I do.
So, there's a show on there, Fatal Vows. So, next time I come on, I want you to have
Fatal
watched a couple.
Vows.
So, the clue is in the title. Married couple, one of them ends up dead. And do you know what's great when you start watching it? At the start, trying to work out, is it the husband? Is it the wife? And it's, do you know, Hallmark do those cheesy Christmas movies?
Yes.
It's the same company who's made these. The acting's horrific.
Is it?
But it's all true stories, but it's one of them where it's got, you know, like 7 seasons. It's got like 50 episodes. So like you said, you can just put it on. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep. So it's good that we've got that kind of shared
Yeah, man.
interest.
Yeah.
It is weird. Like, it is weird. I do question it sometimes. Like, why are we all, so many people, so interested in this? Like, I think that's probably like if you looked on Netflix, I bet you that's the most watched thing. Like,
Yeah,
crime
genre,
documentaries, some kind of crime. Maybe not murders, but crime on the whole. I bet that's the biggest. True crime is the biggest thing that people watch than documentaries.
There's
Why?
been a shift in
think-
society, though, hasn't there?
I was going to say it maybe because it's real. So like
Maybe.
people like it's more interesting.
Yeah.
It's no storyline.
No.
Like it happened, like, and sometimes you'll like, it's like when we were saying with like the Ed Gein stuff and Dharma, they obviously act out what happened. But then the actual documentaries, it's like they'll get the killer, some of them like interview the killer when they're in prison or whatnot. It's the sort of intrigues you.
Do you not
a
think
bit
it's
more
to do
than what
with
like a fictional thing?
Do you not
would.
think it's to do with like Tracy's mum will watch Coronation Street, EastEnders? You were talking about, was it your dad or your stepdad that had the massive telly and he had the deaf woman talking to him for ages?
Jesus.
But they'll be of that generation where they'll watch Emmerdale and they'll keep with the storyline, where our generation, people at work will say to me, do you watch live TV? I'm like, no. I think I watch The Gladiators with Jasmine on a Saturday night. Everything else I stream.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time
No.
to invest in a TV series. The first thing I'll do is look, how long are the episodes? How many episodes are in the series? And that's one thing I'm a bit nervous. Stranger Things, Kaylee wanted us to watch, and the episode time's going up and up, and I'm like, I haven't got 2 hours to sit there. That's a movie, man.
Yeah, man.
And at my age, you can't be putting something on too late at night,
Yeah.
especially when you've got work the next day. So I think that's maybe where, as a society, we're that whole plug in, and I know we're going off a different rabbit hole, but when you talked about the AI, doing the content creating, I'm very much pen and paper. Yes, you go on, you Google, and you look at it. That has speeded it up a little bit, but I've noticed in the game I'm in, it's not always right. And if you don't check it, it'll sometimes give you stats from last year, or it'll get players' names wrong. But because we're of a similar age, it has revolutionised my text messaging, my personal emails, because we don't use it for work, because it's quite boring, like the job I do at work. But the AI, Chat GTP, and I didn't realise there was different ones. So when you had Paul Hannafin on, I've had a little look. Now, he'll probably be aware, but did you see that TikTok craze that went around a couple of weeks ago where the homeless man was getting superimposed into people's bedrooms? So you could go on the Google version, I think it's called Gemini, and you could go, put a homeless man in my front room. You could put a picture of your front room. And similarly, when Paul did it where you stood up, and it was super realistic.
Yeah, man.
To the point where if I'm sending that to Tracy's mum, Giuliano, she's phoning up saying, that man's in my house. I'm ringing the police.
Yeah, man.
Tracy wouldn't let me do it. Jill, if you're watching, I definitely was going to prank you with that, but I wasn't allowed. But that one where Paul showed you was sat there and he took a photo, and it was you getting up. And
Crazy, right?
I try not to think of the
it's
rise of the
terrifying.
machines and the Terminator and Elon Musk and all those conspiracies that Rob would definitely go down, but it is scary to think where these have gone, isn't it? Like from the last few years.
And where they're going. And where they're going. That's the scariest thing. Like, if you think what's happened in the past 3 years with that technology, right? Like where we are in our world now, we're only using like a few percentages of it. Like, it's revolutionized certain businesses, like totally. You know, you hear the horror, like the scare stories of like, oh, loads of people are going to lose their jobs. But like, as it stands now, where we are in our little bubble in the northeast of England, it hasn't really happened yet. But there are places in the world that it has, and all this. I mean, I like pandemic 5 years ago was what? But 2 minutes ago, there was no AI then. I never heard of it. No one had ChatGPT.
No.
Nothing. And you
Most
think,
thing we had was like Siri, wasn't it?
yeah, and you think,
Oh, I hate Siri.
10 years from now, I'm gonna be 50. You'd be 55. You'd be 31.
Thanks for that.
This world might look a lot different.
Do you
It
not
might
think where
look a
they've
lot
lured you
different.
in though, like Chat GTP? I'm a cheapskate. It's like if when Elon took over Twitter, I wasn't paying to subscribe. I wasn't paying to be verified. But I use my free. You get so many goals, don't you? On Chat GTP, and it says you've used your limit for the day, unless you subscribe. You know, they've already got me with my Google Drive. You know, with all my photos. I'm one of those idiots that I have to pay because I've got that many photos, and I haven't sat down and deleted them all. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's, and you were talking about, the subscription services. We're of an age where a Friday night going into Cockerton, Blockbuster Video.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, you transport
Blockbuster.
your say back now. Everything's streamed, isn't it? You know, I've said, you've got Amazon Prime. Yeah, we've got Netflix. Me and Tracy, we've just had a bit of a remove around, and we found the box of DVDs. Neither of us can bring ourselves to throw these DVDs away, Dan. And I hate how much money we spent on them. We've been together since 2018. We ain't watched a DVD together.
Nah,
Yet
man.
we cannot bring ourselves to clear the bookshelf
No.
of DVDs and give them away.
Who's got a DVD player? I ain't got no DVD player. You got a DVD player?
Got a PlayStation 4, which is really
My
battered.
Xbox does the same trick, so
But again, it's that generation of like, I bought this. This is my money.
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
not
doing
worth now.
No.
no.
You know, you go on Music Magpie and you type the barcode in, and it basically asks you to pay them to take it. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Nightmare, innit? Yeah. Yeah, mate. Like, I remember being a kid. I remember being a kid, but apparently when I was a kid, and probably a bit before that, a video player was very expensive.
Yeah,
Like,
I remember getting
like hundreds of pounds and shit to get a video player.
Yeah.
It was like a very, very, very fancy piece of kit. Do you remember them Deckers used to get? Them, like, the first CD players that come out and they had like decks of different things.
I had one of them. I paid about £500 for it, the big, massive, ridiculous speakers, and you could never use it because your mum would shout at you.
Yeah, but you know the decks? Like, I remember this one in the house. I think it had like 5 or 6 different... It was like a black box thing, but it was 5 or 6 different boxes on top of each other, right? Okay, my question now, as I'm like older looking back, I think one of them took multiple CDs. I think you put 6 CDs in together. Mate, what were the other decks then? Like, what were they?
They just looked cool though, didn't they?
Yeah.
I had an AIWA, and I remember my mum used to have a catalogue. This is proper counter set, this isn't it? And I remember the catalogue coming, and I remember me buying one of the one in the middle, the big massive one, that one there, and it had the digital display, had the remote control. You could take the thing off the speakers, and it had, you know, the woofers you called them, and I thought I was absolutely. This was the greatest thing in the history of the world. And then, like you said, then they brought out the ones where they had them like in individuals. And people with money had the glass cabinet, didn't they?
Yeah,
But
the glass
there
cabinet.
was a certain brand, and I can't think of what the word. There was a top end one, and
What, of CD players?
yeah, so that one had like a cassette player in, but obviously that wasn't the most expensive. But the one you're talking about had like a CD player, then it had like an amplifier, and it was like individual machines, wasn't it? Like thin.
Yeah, there were
DVD
thin
player
things
ones,
like this.
and they were in a
It was
glass cabinet,
stacked up.
And
Yeah,
the posh people had the speakers hidden.
Yeah,
and you'd go in the
man.
house and they'd put the music on, and you'd be like,
yeah,
"This is great."
It was the business. It cost a fortune, didn't they? Like absolute fortunes. And like you think that whole thing just played CDs? That's what it did. It just made music. Are you old enough to remember record players?
Well, weirdly enough, they've come back in.
Yeah,
And
but do you
they're
remember them
very
when
expensive.
the at the beginning?
But last year, that's what Kayla wanted for Christmas.
Was it?
A vinyl or a vinyl, as she'd call it, which
a
made me.
vinyl.
And then the cost of the individual records. But what was funny is we went to Tracy's parents in the summer, and her granddad was like, "Oh, you want records, are you?" Opened up the garage, and he had like Beatles, you know.
Wow.
But he had like 300 records, and Kaylee's face.
Originals?
Originals. Like I'd love to know what they cost, but yeah, they used to scratch, jump. So I remember going from the record player to CDs, and we were saying about the car. You know, when there's the front of your stereo, you used to have to click it off.
Oh, yeah.
Take it with you,
Yeah,
and then you'd
yeah.
lose it, or you'd have the multi CDs in the boot of your car.
Yeah, the 6 CD multiplayer in the boot.
You know, this
Yeah.
is where the home PCs where your parents told you not to download music.
Yeah. And the 6x9s on your parcel shelf, the speakers. Remember that? I remember once I tried to do it myself. So when I was a kid, it was cool to get 6x9-inch speakers and put them in the parcel shelf. Cars had parcel shelves then. Like you had your back seats, then like a plastic shelf above the boot. That used to come off and on if you had big things in. And we used to basically cut holes in the parcel shelf and drop 2 speakers in the parcel shelf. Obviously, silly ass here tried to do it himself, and I didn't think of this. And to seal it, obviously you've dropped them in. I've cut the holes, right? Put them in. Obviously they're moving about, right? There was no nails or anything. This parcel shelf was made of cardboard just about. It was a Nissan Micra. Do you know what I mean? Like I wasn't balling. So I got like silicone, like a silicone gun, and I siliconed it in. And for the whole lifetime of that car, it stunk. You know the smell of like that silicone smell. It like literally the ammonia like makes your eyes close. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be driving around like that, like boom, boom, but I was like I couldn't see because of the silicone. With the ammonia was like shutting my eyes.
There's an episode for you. Dan's DIY. Because to be honest, I'm not DIY, but we went to B&Q 2 weeks ago. First time I say buy power tools. I got sick of knowing you have to screw.
Yeah.
I wanted an electric screwdriver, but then the guy sold me a multi-tool to cut wood.
Seeing you
I
coming,
put
didn't
a
he?
shelf up. To be honest, it ain't winning any awards, but that shelf is on the wall.
It's
But
up.
I'll be honest, the first, measuring it all off, cutting the wood, putting it, and then the girls put the shoes on. I was like, this is amazing. This is a great achievement. But then
am
I was
a
like,
man.
and then I was like, hands the next day in bits. I was thinking, Jesus Christ, how would people do that for a living?
Yeah,
But,
no.
but yeah, your Nissan Microsoft. See, he's looking at us two like 2 old dinosaurs. But I remember those days, and you're getting some. And if you were in the back seat of that car, you were putting the music on.
Yeah.
So-
Horrible. Madness, yeah. Madness. Bit of nostalgia there,
I'm
right?
it's been nostalgic tonight.
Hasn't it? How long have you been rolling, Ron?
I think we are being rolling the roll. Now we're on 25, I think.
It's where we like it.
You're at the sweet spot, yeah.
It's where we like it. Well, all right. So I assume you'd be coming back, Paul.
100%. As I said, when that bat signal's put out, weirdly, I felt really nervous being the first guest, and I felt underprepared last time. And I think maybe it's because you guys weren't set up. You know, you were a little bit. And I feel like tonight I've eased back in. But yeah, I would love to come back, Dan.
Yeah,
So-
please do, mate. We always enjoy you coming. But yeah, look, don't ever worry about preparing, mate. We ain't preparing no more. We just turn up and start speaking rubbish, you know. It's what it is. That's people like us. That's how it works, you know. Well, that'll do us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please keep doing so. If you aren't subscribed, please do that as well, because Paul will be counting them numbers.
I will, yeah. I want to see them go up.
Do me a favour, Paul. Next time you come, right, even if you're not doing it, come back with a new plan of how you're going to move forward in the world of content.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it. You don't have to be doing it, but just have a think about it.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I'll come with the numbers. But as Dan said, do all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, share the links, and comment on the videos.
Mate, best podcast in the world. You know what I mean? What you doing? Get involved.
Just before we sign off, we will also leave all the information for the 49ers Faithful in the description.
Thank you very much.
So
Appreciate
if anyone
that.
is into a bit of American football, you'll be able to find it quite easily.
Brilliant. Paul, thank you for talking to people like us. That's the end of the show. See you next time.